Reseller Clickbait Podcast, episode 101.
Morning,
What's
Ken.
up, Corey? Good morning. Good morning. Or I still had my sign up here from the 100th episode, so I just made a little one
You got
on there.
some Sharpie going on there.
The 101th. Is that right? The 101th episode.
101st.
100. Well, my marker was getting dry, so I didn't have time to change. So we're gonna go.
Works.
The 101th episode of the Reseller Clickbait Podcast. Man, that was fun. That was fun. We had a live. We'll talk about that here in a minute. But we have some reseller gossip. Reseller gossip.
We do.
Coming up a little bit
We're
later.
Gonna create some, I guess. Maybe we don't. Maybe we're not gonna. We are gonna gossip.
Yes. Just something we saw, something that's going on out there in the community.
Yeah.
But how's your week been? How was your week since what we did the live on Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday night.
I honestly don't remember if I've done anything this week. It's been crazy. I mean, it's just the week has just been all a blur.
Yes.
It's been a lot of stuff going on. So
yeah,
it
was.
Yeah, we kind of talked about our week on Thursday during the live.
Yeah.
So nothing's happened since then. I just slept a little.
Nothing. Just sitting there. You slept a little bit. Okay.
Video.
No yard sales. No anything exciting. We did.
We went to the escape rooms, and we've been there for the Memorial Weekend. Everybody's kind of on vacation. We live by 3 lakes, so we get pretty busy over holiday weekends. So we've been at the escape and X-Rowing place, just locking people in rooms.
Like vacationers that are coming to the lakes, and then they want to come in town and find something fun to do.
No, nothing makes Teresa happier than when Memorial Day comes around and everybody goes camping and then they get rained out because they come in to do escape rooms.
I was going to ask that if you hope for bad weather, because people do want to come into town. They still want to salvage something on the weekend.
She does. I hope for sunshine and perfect weather so they stay away, but she likes them to come in.
You're just not a people person, are you, Corey?
Not even a little.
That's that's actually part of our topic a little bit later on, but man, I haven't been awake long enough for my voice to get back around, and I keep having to drink something to get my I'll get woke up here. But yeah, I want to talk just real quick. Just go back to the live that we did on Thursday night. Appreciate everybody that showed up for that. It was fun. We had a really good crowd. The chat was popping, and we did some giveaways, and just want to shout out some of the folks that won the giveaways that were there in the chat. And so
I still haven't mailed mine off yet.
I gotta do that yet. Man, it was so busy after that live on Thursday. Then it was getting set up for Jill's birthday was yesterday, was on Saturday. But we did a live Whatnot show, like Jill's birthday party Whatnot show on Friday night. So there was a lot of stuff to get ready for that. And then Jill's actual birthday party. She doesn't really like to do birthdays that much. So we went out to the cabin, out to Jill and Nancy's cabin, and for Memorial Day, we always have a Memorial Day and a big cookout, and a bunch of friends and family, and everybody came over yesterday. And so kind of just went from thing to thing to thing there real quick. So just been busy. I'm looking forward. Then I got to get out of bed early in the morning to film this nonsense. And then I'm looking forward to, then I got yard work to do today to get ready
there's so much to do.
Tomorrow, the family will all come over to my folks' house next door, and we'll have a Memorial Day cookout and probably build a fire.
A pattern here. See, the problem is you guys just get together too much.
That's basically what we do in my family. Is any excuse we have to have a get together or a party, a cookout or whatever. But we're going to do it for Memorial Day, so I should say that's tomorrow, but it's actually today, because this episode will come out. So happy Memorial Day. And, and just, that's, a day to, kind of reflect on those that have served and given the the ultimate sacrifice in their service to our country, that we have the freedoms to do what we do. And so
And have
definitely
hot
a
dog.
day, and have hot dog, and buy a really cheap mattress, because there's
The
always that
mattress
good,
tailgate.
if you need new tires right now, if you need new tires on your vehicle, this is the weekend.
It is a good sales
Which
weekend.
is,
I've heard several people in videos on the YouTube saying that garage sales were not great over this weekend. So apparently it's not a great garage sale weekend.
you know what? Yeah, I did find a few. I didn't see many listed, but I couldn't, in my errands, I just can't help when I see that sign or whatever. I didn't intentionally go out to try to find yard sales this weekend, but they found me. How about that? The yard sales found me, and not many, 3, 4, 5, something like that, just in the neighborhoods where I had to run my errands, and picked up a few decent things. I picked up a really cool Christmas sweater, like an ugly Christmas sweater that had kind of like a video game theme to it.
Those do well too. Are you going to sell it, or is it for you?
Well, I am going to sell it. I'm going to list some ugly Christmas orders, but just to throw out, I've been doing Whatnot, and I'm going to try to do a series of Christmas in July sales. Like each week, I'm going to do Christmas and feature, like, one will be all like clothing and apparel, ugly Christmas sweaters and t-shirts and hats and goofy stuff like that. And, maybe a show that's all ornaments, maybe a show that's all like decorations. I've got so much Christmas stuff that I found.
We should co-op. I'll jump on with you. We'll do a dual show, and I'll get rid of all the Christmas stuff we just got from that estate sale.
Yeah, I'd see,
we'll
and that's
clean it out.
I seem to gravitate when I go to yard sales. I seem to gravitate towards the holiday stuff for some reason, mainly because I guess when you go in, a lot of Christmas stuff is bright and glittery and shiny, and
we did really good.
My eye goes,
the green boxes of glass ornaments, they say Krebs on them, that like the vintage ornaments.
Yeah, the Krebs.
We find them all the time, and we usually pick them up for about 25 cents a box, and they sell for $15-20 a box.
Yeah. Krebs.
I'll bet we sold a dozen of those last year, and we just keep finding them. So we just keep buying them.
If you can find those, the old Krebs, the shiny brights, the vintage shiny brights, and just be careful, because I was at an estate sale, and there was a whole stack of shiny brights, and it's like, oh man, I hit the mother load here. All, still in the box, but they were, I don't know, repops,
Are they remaking them?
Yeah, remaking them. It's the retro shiny brights or whatever. So be sure to check those packages, because they made the packaging look like it was vintage and everything. So check the dates on that. The ornaments, if people just want that look, they still have some value to them. But, a box of shiny brights that are the retros might be, or the
I think you've been reselling longer than we have, because you started, you've been doing this 4 or 5 years?
2020, I started.
Okay. So have you ever shipped a Christmas tree?
A Christmas tree? I have not.
We got 5 of those out of that estate sale.
Okay. And have you shipped one, or are you going to try to sell it?
We haven't yet, but we're considering listing them, because I don't know, we'll have to look them up. I mean, they're $80, $100 trees pre-owned, used. So if I could find a way to box them up and make them decent size, and
I think you had that idea. I forget if we were talking about that, or if I seen that on one of your episodes or something. You were talking about having an artificial Christmas tree lot.
Christmas tree lot.
Which I just think is like a great idea to.
Yeah, it was in our last video.
People can come, just set them up like it's a live Christmas tree lot. But
I think we should net them so they're like skinny and tall, like they're all together, like net them and lean them against the wall.
Yeah, here's and you'd have, people look for stuff. Oh, I want a Douglas fir. I want something like, you could have, these are the pre-lits over here. These are the vintage. This is, 6 foot.
This is our Sears and Roebuck section.
Here's the fiber optics. Oh, let's go look in the fiber optics section. That sounds we have quite needles are not going to fall off.
We have one that's like the blue. It's like flocked, but blue, like really bright blue. And then we have a silver one. We have a white one and 2 green ones. So it'd be a pretty colorful if they all light up and they all work.
a flocked section. Well, see, then you have a table. See, okay, wait, Cory, this is a great idea. You have your artificial Christmas tree farm, and there again, you set them up like these are the fiber optics, these are the flocked ones, these are pre-lits. And then, LED. Now you got two sections, LED pre-lit and you got incandescent pre-lit. But then over to the side, you have your table with all your ornaments, all your Krebs ornaments, all of your decorations that people could put on the trees. You could have a whole, oh man.
If we get all the blow molds and everything out and just set them all up in the yard,
yes,
and do like Christmas in July sale and just have like advertise it on Facebook and blow it all out.
And inflatables, you have an inflatable section. You could separate things. Here's the Santa Claus section. You need candy. Here's Candy Cane Lane. Let's go over here and take a look at these. This is actually a brilliant idea, and we should probably stop recording right now, or just edit all this out so that nobody steals.
Well, here's the thing: if you did that, I'm thinking it would be a very localized thing because you're not going to ship that stuff. So you could do a whatnot, like an outdoor whatnot, and bring them through the lot from your phone. But I think it would be mostly local for me, so I could advertise it on Marketplace and do like they do plant sales, but market it in your local area and do like a Christmas in July.
I absolutely love this idea. I love this idea. Well, and I guess it doesn't matter that we share it with everybody, because nobody else like in my town is going to do this. And everybody could do it. We could have a whole.
Well, you live in Ohio. You might have 40 people do it.
Well, that's true, but I doubt there's not going to be competition like in my town from like advertise on Facebook Marketplace, have a Christmas in July Christmas tree lot. The whole it basically be a garage sale, but with a theme.
Through the garage sale season, if you did it a little bit later to where you're doing it like September at the end of garage sale season, you have time to collect a whole bunch of really cheap trees through garage sale season, and it's just in time for people to start thinking about Christmas decorations.
Yes. See, this is how Cory and I's conversations go on the phone when we talk. It's just all of a sudden we come up with this crazy idea. But we need to change the topic, because when we talk, there's like all these long pauses where my brain just starts to spin like 1,000 miles an hour trying to think of like ideas for this. And so I'll derail the show. I'll just like, all of a sudden I'll just be like,
no, we can edit out the pauses.
Jill gets my, Jill knows, she knows my thinking face, I guess you would say. It's like, and then she'll just go like,
same as your pooping face.
You just, you just had, she's like, oh, you just had an idea, didn't you? Because I don't know whether it's like, bing, she can see the light bulbs above my head. But that's kind of the concept of the Christmas in July whatnots. And I might even try to do it as like a raid train sort of thing. But I need to talk to somebody that's a little more versed in the whatnot community about the raid train stuff. And
I'll go apply for my selling account on Whatnot, because I have an account, and I think I have like 20 some followers, but I don't have a seller's account. So I'll go apply for that, and then we'll have a Christmas lot showdown, just a raid train where we go Christmas lot to Christmas lot around the country.
The Christmas, see, yes.
Is somebody jotting this down?
I am not. I'm mentally jotting it down. I don't know. See, and then now it's almost June. May, this is the last week.
Well, I just stocked up on Christmas stuff. I'm good to go. I could set up like the wire frame things, and we got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I don't have any Christmas trees. I might have a couple. I don't usually pick up Christmas trees, but I have a couple of older Christmas trees. But as far as decorations.
I did watch some videos early on where people were saying they were buying the used artificial trees and selling them for really good money.
Yeah.
Is that like a COVID era thing that kind of when it came and went, and that don't happen anymore? I haven't comped a Christmas tree. I don't know.
I haven't either. I know you see some folks that pick up like the fiber optic ones, especially the ones that are, the newer ones, or that are the older ones, like the 4 foot high, the tabletop sort of stuff.
Right. Like the silvery ones, like that are like the foil ones. I know those are kind of a bolo. I've seen
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if just in general, Chris, I know if you go to buy one at the store, they're like $100-200. Like
Yeah.
the artificial ones are expensive.
The silver Christmas trees, the old like aluminum silver ones, and then they usually had that like that spinning light that you would put like on the floor, and it would shine off of it, and it usually go like red to blue to yellow or something. Those can go for $300-400 or even more if like you have an original one that's in the box and all the little branches are still in the paper tubes that they used to.
Well, we might have to jumpstart this whole Christmas tree market back up.
I like this idea. I need to think this through. Not right now. But
this is probably timing on this was probably not great.
It was not to discuss it, but see, it's just like a phone conversation. I keep saying that. I know we go from one thing to the other. But back to what we were talking about, which was
what the heck were we talking about?
Well, I was getting ready we were talking about the 100th episode live. And I just wanted to run through some of the folks that won some stuff. Gave out a couple of sticker packs. Caleb from the Old Paths and the Two Old Guys Reselling Podcast. Caleb won something. Meg, Lilac Reseller. Or no, I always say that wrong. It's Lilac Seller. Meg.
Yeah. No she just sells it. There's no resell.
Yeah, she didn't resell anything. She just sells. Out of her cellar, which is lilac in color.
It is cellar like C.
Yeah, CE
like basement.
LLAR. Yeah, the base because lilac basement cellar didn't really have much of a ring.
That just sounds creepy.
Do you have a basement in your house?
We have a basement.
Do you call it a basement or do you call it a cellar?
We live in tornado area. We have a basement.
Okay. Do you call it the basement or do you call it the cellar?
The basement.
Is there a difference? Is there a difference between a basement?
I would think a cellar, like the people I know that call theirs a cellar that have a cellar, it's separate from the house. Like it's a big hole outside with doors on it they go down into or they put their canning stuff down there, but it's separate from the house.
Okay. I just looked this up on basement versus cellar. A basement is a story. Basement is a story of a building partly below curb level, but with at least 1/2 of its height above curb level. A cellar is an enclosed space having more than 1/2 of its height below curb level. Usually, if a cellar has any windows, the windows are too small for an adult to fit through. Well, why are you crawling through the window to get into the cellar?
Or maybe to get out.
I don't know.
If you're locked in, could be a Joe Dirt situation.
Basements can be finished off to act as living spaces whilst cellars are designed to be storage spaces. Okay. And cellars usually don't have windows in them. So
you don't have a basement in your house?
I do not. My house is just on a cement slab. That's it. I have no basement. I'm low on storage space. My house is very small to begin with, and I have no basement, and that would be great. Oh, here's the problem. My house is
less great than you think, though.
Why is that?
But during get-togethers and stuff, when all the family comes over, it's a great place to send the kids. So I guess it'd be a cellar because you store the children there. You could send the kids down there to play. But
more
other
like
than
a
that,
cell.
for the rest of the year, I don't really go down. I think I've only been in our basement at this house in 4 or 5 years. I think I've been in it a handful of times. It's just,
oh, really?
You don't go down those stairs when you have them. You just don't. I mean, I think we've never really used a basement in our house. Even the finished basements that are completely done to living space, going downstairs just sucks. Partly because we're getting older.
I'm a basement guy, though. I always like a finished off basement. I think I don't mind being. It's usually a little cooler down there as well.
I would use ours more if we had an elevator.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Hashtag goals, Cory. But Meg, the lilac seller, Bill in a box in the garage, which I think is one of the coolest names. In a box in the garage, because I say that all the time, and I guess that's why, oh yeah, I have that. It's in a box in the garage. But Bill had taken home a package, or he didn't take it home. I'm going to ship it to his home of Dude Wipes, the
Got the Dude
unofficial
Wipes.
sponsor of the Reseller Clickbait Podcast. Steve and Donna from over at Happy Heart Treasures.
Did they win something?
They did. They won the mac and cheese pack. The mac and cheese pack.
I wasn't paying attention, I guess. I didn't know they won that.
Yes, they did. And so I got contacted by Steve. He almost forgot to send me his address. He needs the mac. He said, I need the mac and cheese. I don't know if he needs the sock or the spoon. Oh, he said he would have, we had that whole conversation about whether
that's
you
right.
use
I do remember
a fork
that now.
or a spoon to eat macaroni and cheese.
Yes.
And in the
He's gonna
poll,
throw that spoon away.
I was surprised that the fork won. That most people seem to eat their macaroni and cheese with the fork, because I'm a spoon guy, and a big tablespoon, an adult size, something, I need this little teaspoon.
That's what you eat cereal with.
Teaspoon noise.
Not mac and cheese.
No, you eat everything with a.
The crowd spoke.
I ate some stuff. They did, and the crowd said fork. The crowd said, the crowd said fork. I forget. I think it was pretty close, but it was deciding. It was decidingly decision that anyway. And good friend Roman, anytime picker. He won the Magic 8-Ball, the reseller decision maker.
Yep.
Cory has based his business now off the whatever the 8-Ball says. That is
surprisingly, it's right half the time.
Just half? I don't know what all the different responses are in there. What does that cube in there have? Like 6 or 8 sides or something?
Well, it's like like a triangle dice thing. So it's like a pyramid.
Oh, okay. So there's only 3. You can get yes, no, and maybe.
No, I think it's more than that. I'll have to look. I know I watched a video on how to take that Magic 8-Ball apart and drain the fluid into something and change the answers on that and put it all back together. I might customize one for Grams and Pops.
See, I love this idea. We're just full of ideas today. We should just have an idea show, a brainstorming show.
An idea show. That's what we need.
Where we just talk about goofy stuff that we could actually do. Well, I guess that's what this episode is. Maybe that's what I'll make the thumbnail is.
The idea show?
The idea show.
That's a horrible idea.
Christmas, it is pretty much. Oh, and then make the thumbnail and the title. I'm thinking about that coming up. We're close to season 3. We're getting ready to close out season 2 of the Reseller Clickbait Podcast.
4 more episodes? Well, 3 more episodes, then we're into season 3.
Yes, because 104, there are 52 weeks in a year, and it's like not unofficial because we've done lives and we've done all that. We actually have more than whatever episodes that it takes. But figure 104 is 52 weeks times 2, complete season 2. And this season, I think I'm going to start changing up the Reseller Clickbait Podcast. Originally we started that and we were going to do, thumbnails of, goofy stuff and just really have it be clickbait, and our titles and description. We're just horrible at that. So I think coming up here, maybe by season 3, going to start doing just a standardized. We haven't even talked about this, Cory. Going to start doing a standardized. This is new. Yes. Breaking news. This is not even the reseller gossip part. They could do a more standardized thumbnail. Just like maybe see if that consistency of seeing the same thumbnail every week.
I'm still a big fan of the clickbait idea. And if we were good at it, I think we could.
Yes.
I think maybe we could get a subscriber or 2 to come in. But I think we've had 101 episodes to get good at it. We're not good at it. So we could switch to standardized. Yeah.
Exactly. Some of the thumbnails have been cool and some of them they've hit on. And you don't know, is it the thumbnail that people aren't clicking on? Is it the title and the description that YouTube's
has more to do with our personalities?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. maybe it's us, Cory. Maybe that's what it is. But
we are slightly off-putting.
Slightly. Well, one of us more than others.
One of us.
If you're a people person, you get out there. But shout out to all those people: Caleb, Meg, Bill, Steve, and Roman that won prizes. Guys. And that was a fun show, and move along into the hundreds, the triple digits
Triple
now.
digits.
And we are again at 101. We're at one that's the same forward and backwards. So I don't know. It'll be a
That's crazy.
magical
It's been on
episode.
for 101 episodes. Think it back. We haven't been reselling that long, or well, we have now. It's been almost 3 years that we've been reselling,
Yeah.
which is crazy because it seems like yesterday we said this is episode 1. We're just starting reselling.
Yes.
And to be at 3 years in reselling and this hitting 100 episodes, man, these years went by quick.
They do for sure. I can't believe that. And that, I guess that a little bit segues when you said, how long you've been reselling and that time goes by. I was watching the Flippin' Fantastic podcast the other day. Their newest episode with Mo 87 Official and Alicia Ink Picker. And shout out to Alicia, who has made some tough decisions about reselling and is going to.
I don't envy her.
No. It was a tough, made some decisions. She is going to get out of reselling, kind of go back into the regular workforce. Or
at least as a source of income. I think she'll probably always dabble. I think she'll always be a reseller. I don't think you could put that away.
Yes.
I know I couldn't.
I know she had mentioned that she's looking forward to going to yard sales and estate sales and stuff, and just kind of looking for herself. Just, what can I find? And that would take a lot of the pressure off.
It would also take an extreme amount of discipline.
It would.
I know myself, and if I saw something that I knew I could put on eBay and flip for $200 and it was $10, how do you walk away from it? Like, that's what I mean. Once you have it in your blood, it's hard to put away.
Yeah, it will be, and I think, always having been a reseller at heart myself, it now having done this for 4 years, it would be hard. I know, just like filming, like, I don't know if it would be the same feeling or not, but I know, like, filming content when you're out at yard sales and stuff like that, I was never. It's different when you've got the camera on and you're trying to focus and pay attention to. I need to record something that's neat and of a different angle, or remembering to show the product and the camera, talking to yourself, interactions with the people at the sale, and you're always conscious of that. And for me, it would kind of take away from that aspect of, I need to find stuff to sell. I need to find, and so when I would go to sales,
your attention at the very least.
Yes. And I think I always did better at the sales when I wasn't filming than when I was, just because I was focused on the items and the products, and so that's, I guess, everything is a balance, and how to balance your time or your content or your videos or what you're filming. But listening to Alicia, go ahead.
She did make the announcement that she was going back into the workforce and leaving reselling behind as a whole. And I think, at her age, she's still really young. I look at Alicia kind of like a kid, which is weird, but she's in her 20s. She's as old as my kids are. She's probably close to 30, but I have kids that age. So to see her make a decision like that was a tough decision. And it was also a very self-aware and very adulty thing to do. So I was kind of proud of her for making the decision, because she did have to. That wouldn't have been an easy one to make. And
should we have said spoiler alert? Should we have said spoiler alert for people that might not have listened to the Flippin' Fantastic podcast yet? Okay, just pretend like we didn't say anything. Spoiler alert. Yeah. Go listen to the Flippin' Fantastic podcast.
Well, you're assuming anybody's going to listen to ours.
Well, that's true. But one of the things that when I was listening to Alicia talk about going back into the workforce and having to go do interviews, that she has not had to go do an interview for a couple, 3 years, 4 years, whatever she said, to actually get a regular 9-to-5 job. Yep. And it's, when I say, to get a job or a regular job, and it's always, I always do like the air quote thing, because this, as a full-time reseller, if that's what you're doing to make your total income from, it is it is a job just like any 9-to-5 job. Sure, I'm not going to get a W-2 at the end of the year and makes the taxes and everything like that easy.
You're going to work harder as a reseller than you will on a 9-to-5 job.
Yes, and it seems like I work more hours, you know,
You
and
definitely do.
there's more responsibility to yourself when you're a full-time reseller, because you've got to do that, where at a 9-to-5, you basically, you go to work and you work your hours and you go home, and you don't have to worry about anything. I always did, because I for a lot of the time I was in management and stuff like that. So even when you're at home, you're thinking about the next day, and you get up in the morning and somebody's called off work and they're not coming in, and everything changes and the schedule shifts and all of that. But it's
no, it's a whole different thing. Emotionally, like stress wise, I think having a job that you can go to and punch in and punch out of, the idea of that is, you know, when I leave that job, my brain shuts off and I don't think about that job anymore. But the jobs that are like that don't pay very well. Most of the jobs that pay halfway decent, you're going to have some attachment to that job after work.
Agreed.
Partially because you're invested in that company. You want them to succeed. You want to do more than what's expected of you, or you're in management, or you have formed a whole new set of like relationships at that job that you wouldn't have at your normal job. So you're always connected to it after work too. So it's not like you do just shut it off. And the ones you do shut off are like McDonald's. Like when you go home, you're just home and you don't care about the job. So there's jobs and then there's jobs.
True. But the interview thing, that's what was interesting to me when she said she hadn't. And so I got to thinking back about my work career and work history and interviews that I would have had to do. And believe it or not, even at this advanced age, Cory, I'm not going to count reselling as a job because I didn't have to interview to do this job. I have only had in my lifetime three interviews that I ever had to do. I've only had 3.
That's impressive.
At 3 jobs. And so I got to thinking back about the interviews that I would have had to have done. My very first job was working at the grocery store. And I was like 15 years old, getting, ready to turn. You had to be at least like 16 to work. But grocery store, and I had to do an interview, but it was almost just like a formality, because I had the job before I even went in. My brother worked at the store already. He was like the manager of the meat department. He was a meat cutter. And then my mother, we knew the family. Yeah, we had an inside guy. And then my mother worked at a bank for years, and the grocery store did all of their banking there. So my mother knew all of the managers and assistant managers and all of that stuff.
So when they were looking for, you just had to show up.
I did. Yes, but they had to go through their formality process. I actually, went in, I filled out my application right there. I went and talked to the manager of the store kind of in the break room. And it was like, okay, basically, can you start tomorrow? But as a young kid, you should be nervous about your first job or your first interview or something like that. It was like after school, I actually walked from school to the store. And so, I didn't have to dress up or do anything like that. And
my first interview, they tried to send me home. Like I was in South Dakota, you could get a driver's license at 14. That's when you get your driver's license here.
Really?
And
like a learner's?
It's always been that way.
A learner's permit that you can drive with another adult? Really? I did. Yeah. I just assumed that was like a national, like 16 was the.
No, they do it in South Dakota because it's a lot more rural. And by the time you're 14, you've already been driving tractors and stuff in the fields for years. And you have to be able to drive. If you live on a farm, you have to be able to drive at that age to get around to go do stuff.
To get to school or to get to the feed store.
It's been 14 for as long as I remember. There has been talk a few different times about changing it to 16, but it's still 14. But I remember when I was 13, I knew I wanted a car at 14. Okay. So when I was 13, I walked out from our house. I walked out to the truck stop that's out by the interstate, which was 3-4 miles away. And they had a cafe in that truck stop. So I went in and asked if I could be a dishwasher.
Okay.
And it was a small town. Everybody knew everybody. So they called my mom. When I came in, they told me, okay, sit down for a minute. We'll talk. And they went back inside and they called my mom. They said, do you know your kid's down at the truck stop by the interstate? She was like, no. So I did end up getting the job. I told her why I was there, and they did give me a job. And it took me about a year at working about $3 an hour. And I did buy my first car by my 14th birthday. I spent $200 on that car, and then I fixed it and made it run again. And then we were good. So I got sent home on my first interview.
There's so many inappropriate things going through my head right now about Cory, this 13-year-old boy down at the truck stop on the interstate. How's he going to make money?
No kidding.
I'm just
never got into the lot lizard profession.
My jaw is, so I'm trying to keep from smiling or laughing here. So my second job then of my 3-job career, I went to school in the printing industry to learn. I went to vocational school, in high school the last couple of years, and I learned the trade of in the printing industry. And so they would have like job placement through the vocational school.
Okay.
And companies would call in and say, hey, we're looking for somebody in our print shop or whatever. Can you send over your, some kids to interview or whatever? And so that was for this particular job. I was the only student that the instructor or whatever, the teacher, sent over for the interview. So it was a little more, you had to get dressed up and look really good. And I remember that one being like very nervous because I wanted the job. I'm not like a nervous guy that has to impress people. I'm kind of a people person and interactive and stuff. But that one was a little bit nerve-wracking, even though kind of in the end, because I was the only person that they sent over, I was probably going to get the job anyway, but I still had to.
You're one of one in the interviews.
Yes. I still had to be somewhat.
So it sounds like life is just throwing jobs at you.
Yes.
No, my second job was a chicken farm. Once I had a car, I got to upgrade and I made minimum wage, which at the time was a fortune for me. And it was at a chicken farm. I got to run the giant scraper down the aisles and scoop the chicken shit to the end of the barn. And that's what I did after school every day for 2-3 hours was move chicken crap around. And then for 2-3 hours, we got to go spread it out in the fields. And that was.
And as an adult, you're still doing that, except now you have a tractor to scoop it up.
No, we don't have chickens right now. All the chickens are gone.
What happened to them?
Coyotes got them. No, the coyotes got them.
Oh, I thought maybe you had a big barbecue and, had a big chicken pit or a big barbecue pit outside. And
no, for the first time in 5 years almost, we had to go buy eggs from the store the other day.
Really? Are you gonna get more chickens? New chickens? Or
we probably will. We talked about going and getting some already, but it's busy enough right now. It's one less thing I have to worry about keeping alive. Yeah. So we decided to just wait for a little bit.
Now it's just Teresa. As long as you keep Teresa alive, you're good to go, and that's your only responsibility.
So we let him go for now. I'm sure we'll get some back in here.
So you were a lot lizard, and then you scoop chicken shit, and then
both shitty jobs.
I worked at the grocery store. Okay, so I did get the job, the second job. Oh, when you're talking about minimum wage, I think when I started at the grocery store, it was $3.10 an hour is what you were making. And I think I worked there for about a year or so, through the end of high school before I got this other job. And I remember going into that job and having that interview and the lady telling me that it paid $4 an hour. And it's like, I'm a rich man at this point. $4 an hour.
Remember how much gas $4 would buy back then?
Oh, all of it. You could get all of the gas you ever wanted for $4 an hour. And
I remember my mom giving me a $5 bill and saying, go fill the car up. And it would do it.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Oh, and then, that was back in the day when when you were 14 and you would go, they would go, oh, go fill up the car. And while you're there, pick me up a couple packs of cigarettes and a 6-pack.
Sure,
and
we were doing
the
that
guy
when
at the gas station would sell it to you. And And well, South Dakota, yeah, you probably still can.
If anybody gave us grief about buying cigarettes, they just give them your phone number and they call your dad and they were like, "Can he buy cigarettes?" And dad would be like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I sent him there.
Of course,
pin
that
a
could have
little
been
note to your jacket. It's okay
creepy
for
guy at the liquor store. They didn't know who they were calling. They didn't know if it was dad or not. But no, it was there was only 700.
Oh,
It was
yes.
like 700 people in the town we grew up in, so everybody knew everybody. Like when we went in, they knew that we were buying them for dad, and they knew when we weren't buying them for dad, but they'd still sell them to you.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess moving on to like my third job in interviews, and we'll get through this. It wasn't supposed to be a work history of what we did.
It's a good resume builder.
It is.
Horrible resume.
I was working at that second job, but it was an in-plant. It was an engineering firm that I went to, and they had an in-plant. They did all their own printing of all their forms and everything in-house. A lot of duplication of like big blueprints of the engineering designs that they would do.
Okay.
And a print shop, the one that I ultimately ended up working at, a regular print shop, Quick Printing, had called the school to have somebody sent over for an interview. The instructor then knew what job that I was doing and knew that it would be a good fit. So he didn't send any of his students. He called me and said, "Hey, here's this opportunity. Do you want to go interview for it?" And it's like, yeah, I'll do that.
Out of all of these careers that you've had up to this point, how do you feel that prepared you for your Christmas tree lot? I figure we'll just go ahead and have an interview here. See if I want your help or not.
Being in management for so many years, making sure that schedules and people were in the places in the printing industry, everything is done on due dates, on time frames and due dates, and meeting those every day was my goal. And so at the Christmas tree farm, we know that Christmas, not only did I just lose the audience, I just lost my co-host to a nap. So the third interview that I had was just at this print shop. I was sent over as, again, the only person. So I had the interview, but I kind of had the job before I got there. And so I did get the job. Oh, and then I got a bump, $5 an hour. I started at that place at $5 an hour. And now I'm really moving up in the world. Except the very first day, just real quick, the very first day I got the job, and it's okay. I had to give my other employer, 2 weeks notice. And I was late my very first day to work at this new place. On the way, it was about 20 miles away. And on the way, I got up on the highway and my car just died. I don't know what was wrong with it at that point, but it would only go about 5 miles an hour. And
what are they going to do? Fire you? They didn't have another interview.
Yeah, exactly. So I did make it to work that day. I was supposed to be there at like 8:00, and I, get there like 9:15. And that was the time you didn't have cell phones. You didn't have any way to call anybody or let anybody know.
Not a great time. And when you weren't home, you just weren't reachable.
Yes. And then those were the days. I am very attached to my phone. If I leave it's amazing how many times you do look at your phone in a day, or just
especially when you do social media as part of your income.
Yes.
It gets crazy. It gets out of hand.
But yeah, back then, and then I was thinking about that the other day with my very first like cell phone or whatever. They started out with the bag phones. Okay. And you had that usually a zippered case.
My folks had one of those. They were fancy.
It was, but the thing that I thought, now you have this device that's like this, just this rectangle, and it's got the screen. Of course, back then you didn't have the screens and the smartphones sort of thing. But I always found that it was interesting that the very first cell phones that they made were designed off, it's like nobody thought ahead that, okay, it doesn't have to have a cord and a handset on it to be a telephone. It's like, did they think that people wouldn't understand it if it didn't look like a home phone? So,
I don't think they could imagine outside of what it had been for 100 and some years already.
That's my point. They lacked imagination.
That was all.
they did, they had the technology and they knew what they wanted to do, but the actual design was this little zippered bag with a handset that was corded and get your little antenna pulled up there. And it was,
ours had an antenna that when you wanted to use the phone, you put it out the window and put it on the roof.
oh
And it's
yeah.
stuck to the roof. And then when you were done, you brought it back in and put it back down on the floor.
Yes, that was part of my original bag phone or whatever. But
so now that you've had your reselling career here for 3-4 years,
yes.
Do you sometimes wish you could get back to that $5 an hour?
Well, I wish the cost of living and stuff would allow a person to live on $5 an hour. Because at $5 an hour, and as a young kid, you buy a lot of foolish stuff and you buy things and yeah, you could go to, nowadays you go to McDonald's or whatever. And it's like, I used to eat fast food. So I worked at the place I got the job.
The floor for $5.
No, they won't.
Nothing in there is $5.
Remind me not to go to dinner with you, Cory. If Cory's over there licking the floor at McDonald's. I got that job and I worked there for 32 years. Okay. So that's why I only had basically 3 jobs in my career: at the grocery store, the in-plant shop, and then I worked at the next place for 32 years.
You're a lot like Teresa in that aspect. She would go to a job, and it doesn't matter what job. It could be the best job in the world, or it could be the worst job in the world that she hated.
Yes.
Wouldn't matter. And she could work at that job for 40 years and die happy. And it doesn't, like, she just likes the stability and the consistency, and she likes things just to stay the same. I've had 3 jobs in 1 year before. Like, I just,
really?
if I'm at the top of the job and I've learned what I can learn and there's no advancement past that, I'm out. I can't do it. Like, if my job is to weld a 1-inch weld on a widget every day for the next 8 months, once I know how to do that and I'm as good as I can get on it, if there isn't anywhere for me to go in the company beyond that, you get my 2 weeks.
I guess there's stability in doing the same thing every day. But yeah, if you want to advance, if there is no advance, and I guess I would say I would be that same type of person too. I'm always striving to do. I was at the top. I was the manager over 4 locations and all the employees and
different
only
jobs
had to answer
in the management side. But there is only so far you can climb in management too, unless you're going to buy the company.
Well, that's where I was at. I was as high as, I only answered to the owners. And I would probably still be, because I enjoyed the job. I enjoyed the advancements that we had made over the years in the technology and the processes of things. And I would probably still be there had it not been for a change in ownership, where the new owners basically bought their little princess, their daughter, a print shop to, so she could play grown up. And that situation just wasn't going to work for me. So anyway, that's a whole different story. But
this is
when
disgruntled Ken.
Go towards the interview, back to the interviews. Then, so by the end of when I was the management, I was in charge. Now I am the guy doing the interviews, giving the interviews to people. And that is always an interesting process. Number one, of course, when I was doing a lot of the interviews, nowadays with the younger workforce and such, you're lucky that they even show up for the interview at the time that
they don't interview well.
And they don't interview well. There's entitlement there.
Not even their fault. They were raised like this. Everything's right here. They don't have any. They're not good in interpersonal communication. They're not good in person at all. So they interview very poorly, especially if it's for a job where you're interacting with other people. I guess for a lot of jobs nowadays, if you're going to sit at a computer and that's your job, like, they're built for that. So they don't have to be good with people.
Yeah.
And interviewers, I think, are starting to come around to the fact that that's not a skill they're looking for. So they don't care if the person is introverted to the point of crying when they have to talk to someone.
Yeah. Yes. But I was lucky enough to interview people back when you had, and it depended on what position, but through my career, the workforce got younger and younger. Did your workforce get younger, or did I just get older and set in my ways? I'm from a generation, again, that had good work ethic, that you you went to work and you did your job, and that was your job, was what was important. That's what was sustaining
I,
you.
I think
And
you hear a
now
lot
it
of people
seems,
on TikTok now saying, I want to love my job. I want to love what I do.
uh-huh.
Okay, go back and live with mom. Because
Yeah,
nobody
exactly.
loves their job every day.
Oh
There's a
no.
lot of days I hate my job, but
Yes.
I still love what I do.
Even my current job, which is being reselling, there's days that it's like, man, I don't want to do any of this. But we talked about that, you have that responsibility to yourself. If I take too many of those days where I don't love my job, the lights are turned off and I don't have food in my belly. And
See,
uh
Teresa and I were both getting to the point recently here where we were both like, it's becoming too routine. It's just, I
yes.
like Teresa doesn't care about that. She likes that it kind of got into a groove. But for
Uh-huh.
me, it's like, oh, like I don't even want to get up. I don't want to go garage selling. I don't want to do it.
You
It's
don't want to go
boring as I
garage
always
sailing?
done it. No,
That's the
I get to
fun
the point
part.
where I don't even want to go to sales.
I'm so
So,
glad that winter is kind of over and yard sale season is in full swing.
oh, I'm the
Because
opposite.
that's the interaction. That's another part that I was going to talk about. But I want to finish up my interview stuff, because when I was the guy doing the interviews, I would my opening line, because people get nervous when they got to come for an interview.
Yeah.
When it was sometimes when the people got younger, they didn't have sense enough to be nervous that, hey, this is an important step in whether you're going to get this job, and if you cared about getting the job. But when you were interviewing, older folks or my generation, they would be nervous. And
Yeah, these new kids, they'll walk in a wife beater and cargo
eh,
shorts vaping on the way to your office and
yeah,
they don't care.
yeah, exactly.
They don't really want the job.
That I always opened up every interview. When the person, hi, how are you? Come on back, to the office, and I'd always ask, man, are you nervous? And they'd be
Well,
like,
that helps.
so I know, and I
Like
would do
now I
stuff
am.
to break the ice. I would be like, man, are you nervous? And well, yeah, somewhat a little bit. And I'd be like, I would always tell them, it's like, man, it's crazy, because I'm not nervous at all. I don't get it. I said, oh wait, I've already got the job. You're the one that's here, and that would usually get a chuckle out of them, and they would, um, loosen up a little bit, because it's
I
very
would have
tough
just
to
told you
interview
I'm only
somebody.
here by court order.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
nervous. I had
Or
to be here.
you did get a lot of the people that were there for that would interview for a position because they were made to interview for something, to get, say,
Oh, the unemployment
unemployment or
folks?
get their benefits or whatever.
Yep.
And it basically, all they were there for is, can you
To
sign
get the
my
paper
paper?
signed.
Can you
Yep.
sign my paper? And it's like, of course you could tell that, right away.
Mm-hmm.
It's they had no interest in the job at all. They had no questions. It was just sign my paper, sign my paper. But yeah, I'd
Just
break the ice with
make them an
that.
offer. Put them to work.
And I always enjoyed doing the interview,
I
being the
hated doing interviews.
interviewer.
Yeah, I didn't like being the interviewer. I've always interviewed well. Like if
Uh-huh.
you're interviewing me, I interview well, but I don't like being the interviewer. That's something I never enjoyed doing because I don't like hurting people's
Yeah.
feelings.
Okay.
And you have to hurt a lot. If you get 10 people to come in and interview, only one of them's getting the job.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
have to be honest with them. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to be a dick, but you have to be kind of honest with them and tell them why they didn't
yeah.
get the job. And I didn't ever care for doing that.
Yeah, it was the process that we would do is, I was always like the first, I would do the first initial interview with folks, and then if I felt that they were a good candidate for the job, then we would call them back for a second interview where the owners would sit in, and they would we would then just talk, and usually we always left it with everybody. We have multiple people that we're interviewing. We're going to make a decision by Friday on this. And so the normal, you didn't really have to break somebody's heart right at
Yeah.
that point. You could, I would always make calls. I would always make calls back to anybody, all the ones that didn't get the job, and just say that we had a good, we had a candidate that was a little more qualified, and we went with them and thanked them for their time and coming in and such. But
I'm sorry, Jack,
anyway,
I didn't like you.
yeah, all of that we talked about with that came up from listening to Alicia talk about having to go to an interview, and I can't even get to the second part of my topic because we're already like an hour into this thing.
We had so much more gossip too.
We did. It was more about
Dang it.
The whole
The good stuff.
working by yourself and being a social person and not a social person and see if we wouldn't have brainstormed that Christmas tree farm idea.
Oh, it's the Christmas tree farm idea. Yeah, that's what did it.
That one took
it wasn't
a while.
The 40-minute job the resume builder we did here. That had nothing to do with this.
Anyway, so I think we're going to wrap this one up, Cory, unless we want to do like a 2-hour episode, which we can't get people to, people have short attention spans. That kind of
we should do this in spoonfuls instead of all at once.
We should put out like rather than one 1 hour episode every week, we should put out like 3 20-minute episodes. Just break them up.
We could do that.
Maybe we'll do that in season 3.
Just break it off mid-sentence.
We'll just start, we'll just edit it. We'll make a little end screen, to be continued. Come back on Tuesday. Because I did want to talk about that being working by yourself. And I can see some of the.
Well, that was kind of the point of that we discussed, that kind of being the point of the show, getting to that point. We're not good at this, guys.
We're not. We're going to get there.
If we didn't hit that, we do at least want to say good luck to Alicia on the way, doing what you're doing, getting your new job, getting situated. I know she'll still be around in the community. She's still sticking around the community. So I'm sure we'll see her around, but good luck in whatever comes next.
Most definitely. And see where the Flippin' Fantastic podcast goes. They kind of alluded that Mo would still be doing something along those lines. So we'll see.
We should get Death File Picker over there.
Oh yeah, get Mike. Mike and Mo together.
We need Mo Mike.
The Mo Mike Flippin' Fantastic podcast. Anyway, Cory, we're gonna wrap this one up, and we'll get some sort of a thumbnail going for it, some sort of a title. And have you noticed a pattern, Cory, that none of the episodes seem to be what we want to talk about actually in the end, with more gossip?
I think that's what makes it wonderful.
we clickbaited our own episode in the middle.
We clickbaited ourselves.
We got all this gossip and I don't know. Anyway, that's it. Thank you for watching the 101th episode of the Reseller Clickbait Podcast.